There's this weird paradox of I want to stand out, but yet I also just want to do what everyone else is doing because surely it must be working. Most dentists don't want to take on risk, but they also don't get the spoils and the rewards of risk. You don't learn this in dental school, and not too many people are talking about how you can actually embody a brand as a practice. So I knew I couldn't really win the game playing according to their rules, so I just created a brand new game where I could play by my own rules and win. When you go to our practice, you're not just a patient, but you're the reason we do dentistry. And we want you to know, we want you to get that sense of belonging, to feel like this is a place that you can call home. And that's gold.
Welcome to a new era of dentistry, the ultimate podcast for uncovering the latest trends, breakthroughs, and real-life stories in the dental industry, hosted by Ashley Bond with Wisdom, along with co-host Stephanie Neville. This podcast will explore hot topics, chat with industry leaders, and share the stories that are redefining how dental professionals enhance patient care and the dental practice environment. Let's get started and reshape the future of dental care together, one episode at a time.
We're really excited to be joined by Sean Zayas today, who is the founder of Zana. Sean specializes in helping practices and dentists stand out in a super, as you know, crowded market with remarkable and authentic marketing ideology. He's got some pointers and some thought points for you to consider that you probably haven't heard before. So, Sean, I'm just going to let you get right into it and tell us what your company does and a little bit more about what I just said.
Stephanie, thank you for having me.
Sure.
So yeah, I've been in dentistry for quite a while, and I just realized that it's kind of like the same playbook as what most dentists get trapped with. There's this weird paradox of I want to stand out, but yet I also just want to do what everyone else is doing because surely it must be working. It's this strange herd effect. If I just do what everyone's doing, like there must be safety in that, safety in numbers, like this lemmings. But because of that, inherent in that, most dentists don't want to take on risk, but they also don't get the spoils and the rewards of risk. So here I am, and I own an electric toothbrush company. And the last thing I want to do is compete with Sonicare and Oral-B directly on product. You know, my R&D department, does it compare with theirs? No. Do I have the same funding that they have? No. So part of what I do is I teach dentists how to think differently so that they can actually innovate and leave that red ocean where there's all that blood in the water and head toward that blue ocean where there really isn't as much competition. So I knew I couldn't really win the game playing according to their rules. So I just created a brand new game where I could play by my own rules and win. And that was just taking an electric toothbrush and saying, how can I leverage this to make a dental practice look like a hero to their patients? How could I take what a dentist is already doing and what they're caring about, right? They care about, do patients come back? Can I build this practice of my dreams? And how could I come alongside them and say, hey, would it be helpful for you if we created this remarkable patient experience that gets them to be like, oh my gosh, like I wasn't expecting the generosity. I wasn't expecting just the thoughtfulness of a strategically timed gift. So it's like, okay, back up. What does that mean? I don't want people selling electric toothbrushes, Stephanie. $10, $15 per brush into practice. So you hold inventory, you spend a ton of money today so you can make dollars. It doesn't make any sense. My whole thing is the most valuable thing you can do is identify which patients are those rock star patients, are either raving fans already or right there on the cusp of being a raving fan. They really like you. You have a lot of data on patients that keep coming back, right? And if you identify those and you just take a little bit of thoughtfulness and send them a gift just because. It's not because they just got treatment. It's not because they're a new patient. It's out of the blue. And here they receive this beautiful package and it's completely customized with their name on it. Their name's on the outer box. It's in cellophane. They open it up. There's an insert that says, when you go to our practice, you're not just a patient, but you're the reason we do dentistry. There's a QR code on there that takes them to a video where you're just explaining the why of why you show up. You know, dentistry is difficult. People want to know what makes you different. And then at the same exact time, they see that their name's laser engraved on the brush, and so is the practice name. It's just about doing something different so you get the credit for giving that care beyond the chair for 4 to 5 years in your patient's bathroom. So that's a little bit of what Zana did to kind of disrupt the electric toothbrush market and really help dentists just become unforgettable to their patients.
Well, you already blew my mind with that. I mean, in all my years in dentistry, I have never seen anyone give patients anything engraved with their own name on it, let alone an electric toothbrush, let alone an electric toothbrush for free. But what you preface that with, as far as the dentist being the hero, really spoke to me, and I'm already understanding why that methodology would work. I mean, if I had a dentist that went that far to make sure I felt special and taken care of, even if I moved, I would probably still drive 2 or 3 hours to go back and see that dentist. And I think maybe that's part of your message with that.
1000% Stephanie. And part of it is like there's such a myopic view of like the only way I can grow my practice is if I continue to invest to acquire new patients. And these new patients, I don't know much about them. And yet I'm willing to spend X amount to attract someone new that may not even be a good fit for my practice, where I actually have a lot of data. It's not data that shows up maybe in your practice management system. It's relational data. Your hygienist, your office manager, the dentist, or the front desk actually knows the patients that are coming in, that keep coming back in, that are smiling, maybe that are being a little charming or flirty or just having fun, or you can tell they actually really feel connected to the practice.
Hmm.
Stephanie, I naturally am a raving fan of any service that I'm a patron of that just does something different or unique or goes above and beyond to just acknowledge me. And yet I lie dormant on lists of so many companies where they don't understand the potential that I have to tell other people about them because they don't actually recognize me. They don't activate me. So right now, one of the most valuable gold that's in practices right now are the patients that have influence, that are connected in the community, that might be part of the Chamber of Commerce, or they're just, I don't know, they're socially connected. They're influencers, not social media influencers, but actually influencers in their little communities. And yet they just haven't been activated. They haven't been
Mm.
acknowledged and seen of like, I appreciate you and all the choices you had, and yet you choose to come to our practice. And we want you to know, we want you to get that sense of belonging, to feel like this is a place that you can call home. And that's gold.
Yeah, old-fashioned word of mouth and having real live brand champions out there at the PTA meeting or the soccer game or, whatever at work in a break room. I go here because I got this. That's actually so simple but genius, and it's honestly in whatever circle in dentistry, something I really haven't heard yet. What are some other ways that dentists and practices can stand out to create those types of patients that bring that organic flow of new patients and increase retention?
That is kind of like the $1 million question. How do practices that offer pretty much the same deliverables? You know, you can get a great crown. You can get can you get a great full mouth restoration everywhere? Probably not. But there's so many dentists that are committed to excellent outcomes. And there's so many practices that create beautiful smiles. And there's these like cliches, but it's true. Like I know so many of them. And yet there's that kind of old adage of like, if you build it, they will come. This idea that if I just stick to maintaining clinical excellence, where I keep doing CE, I'm a great dentist, I really, really care, and I'm committed to great clinical outcomes, that'll be enough. And it might have been 15 years ago. But now, if you're not employing some sort of branding in your practice, and branding, it's not just typefaces, colors, logos, brand positioning. It's the experiences that you consistently give the patients that are coming in your practice that actually resonate because they're coming from a place of authenticity, not just with you, but the team culture that you've created. And if those things seem foreign to you, team cultures, it just goes to show like you don't learn this in dental school. And not too many people are talking about how you can actually embody a brand as a practice. So you're not a Whole Foods that's masquerading as a Walmart, and all of a sudden you keep attracting the wrong patients and they're like, what the heck? This isn't the place for deals. like that's not a good thing. You want to make sure that everything in what you're saying has congruence and has alignment. So then when
Mm.
people get attracted to that, when word of mouth goes out and other people tell someone about your practice and they show up, there's not dissonance, to use some music
Mhm.
terms, there's resonance. And I think that's ultimately the goal of branding.
So, do you ever encounter a team? Well, actually, I'm going to save this question that I have for after I ask this question. I would like to understand and our audience to understand if a practice wants help with branding, marketing, any of those things, what does it look like when and at the end of the show, we'll make sure they know how to get a hold of you, but can you talk more about what you do specifically and what happens after an office reaches out to you for help? Like, what do you do? How do you help them?
So basically, what you're going to find out there is that most companies are like, they're marketing companies alone. And in order for them to scale, in order for them to have a livelihood and really do a good job in dentistry, they almost need to box their services up. So it's pretty much like, if you're an implant practice, boom, here's something. If you're looking for a website, boom, here's something. And these box services, they're good. They make it so that maybe the deliverable can be a little bit more affordable, but they don't actually address the unique needs of the practice. So when someone reaches out to me, it's like right off the bat, it's like, gosh, just like a doctor or a dentist, I'm not going to pretend that their mouth or that their health or that their situation is the same as everybody else. I need to actually listen. I need to figure out what are their goals. What's unique about the way that they show up? Is there a certain style of dentistry or type of dentistry that they want to do, or they want to have a certain schedule, but they don't know they have permission to, or they don't know that they have the financial capabilities of doing it because maybe they don't know how to structure their schedule or get that certain types of patients that they want. I just have a lot of questions that I need to ask to figure out, are we even a good fit? Because there's a lot of dentists out there. If all they're wanting is that $1 million plus practice, and they're not really caring about their patients foremost or their team foremost, they're probably not going to be a good fit for me. If they want the benefits of great branding and authenticity without actually having to be authentic, they're probably not going to be a good fit for me. But yeah, there's just a really deep diagnostic process that I have to find out really what would be the best solution for that practice.
Well, you just validated me backing up to ask that question before this one because it was going to be, have you ever encountered a dentist or a team where I love that from a marketing space? First of all, you're talking about how authenticity starts in the practice with the leadership of the practice owner, the doctor, and their team, and how the patients are treated. Because, like you said, you can get online and see lots of cosmetic pictures and great crowns, but how people feel is what matters. And that's a lot of what we're talking about today. And some people, we'll just say people, it doesn't have to be dentists, just aren't people. And they have these big, audacious goals, but the root of the problem is they're just really not people. So my question was going to be, do you have any advice for maybe it's not a doctor that's listening, but it's an office manager who knows I would love Sean's help. I want to grow our practice, but my doctor is the problem, and I don't know how to tell them that they're the problem.
I am definitely not Dr. Phil. Um, you know, I don't know if there's anything more fulfilling for an office manager that would be in a situation like that than to actually just work with a dentist that they can wholeheartedly respect and have admiration for, because there's so many great dentists out there that are people first before profit. And caring about profit is great. It keeps the machine going, it keeps the lights on. It's a good thing. But having that profit first mentality over people, it's something that's there or it's not. Like, I don't know you can't fake it. So it's like so much of marketing is, right? We've all heard the importance of a narrative or the importance of your story. But yet people, the way they hear it and the way they do something about it is, oh, I need to somehow find some part of my story that supports what I'm wanting to do and position it in a way that kind of hacks it so it looks like I'm qualified to do this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you are massively overthinking it. No, if you were the valedictorian and you grew up with these really crazy parents that expected everything of you and it was perfection or we didn't accept you, and like the gifts that you were given from actually being in a situation like that and having to understand how to give yourself grace or how to not care or how to overcome perfection, like those are legitimate gifts. Like those are legitimate experiences you have, and that's gold where you can actually talk to someone, help someone out, be a guide to someone that's struggling, and you were given that. I'm not asking someone to figure out and fake their story so they look like they can be competent to do something. I'm actually just helping them mine the gifts that life's already given them. that their traumas have given them, that their traumas have given them,
Mm-hmm.
and be like, okay, the idea of a diamond, right, is what it's coal that's been under pressure like crazy, and out of it becomes this beautiful diamond with all these different facets. Sometimes it's our scars and it's the pressure that we've gone through and it's the fires that we've survived, that's where the true gold emerges. And most of us want to erase those chapters in our lives. We want to erase those stories. We're not proud of them. And yet if we actually sift through them, we'll find that's where the gold is. I kind of went on this monologue here. I'm really sorry, Stephanie, but the point of that was just to say, yeah, like if your dentist is authentic and really cares about people, you're in a good place. If you're working for a corporation where it's primarily about the money and that's not where you're at, I don't know, maybe I would just say your life is worth, it's worth you enjoying and being proud of the place that you work and being part of a team that you like being part of that team. And I would just encourage someone to say there's a lot of practices out there that are looking for great people, and maybe just knock on some doors.
Yeah, well, I liked your monologue, and it made me think too, from a redirect standpoint, you said something really important, and it's that just because maybe a dentist or a practice owner may seem like they don't care about the people and only the profits, it's not always the case. It could be that whatever is hidden in their personality, they just can't convey it properly. So it can't hurt to have these conversations from this perspective that you're giving us today, where it's like, hey, I know you have the best of intentions, but I don't think our patients are seeing it. And there are people that can help with that. So we have a full schedule, but we're not producing as much as we should, or we're not getting as many new people in the door. Why don't we just take a few steps backwards and look at the way our office feels from a people perspective and let Sean help? Or, I mean, I think it was great. I think the monologue was great. And I think that can
Well,
be applied to anything in life.
yeah, and just to clarify, when we were saying like a people person, I don't mean like an extrovert. It really has nothing to do with whether you're charming or you connect well with people. I just meant, and which I think is what you were meaning too, someone from the heart that genuinely wants to do good to their patients,
Hmm.
wants to deliver great clinical outcomes, and just really embody that healthcare provider that just like gives care above all, every sort of care, however that is. So yeah, just
Yeah.
to make sure our listeners aren't thinking, I'm not talking about like extroverted people that happen to be good with people. You can be extroverted, completely narcissistic, and only care about building your own name and fame. And I just don't want to work with you. Like,
Yeah. No,
sorry.
I hear you. Yeah, no, there's a huge difference between someone who just being a clinician, it just drains their social battery and they don't have any space to think about how they're interacting with people. And I love that we're having this conversation pertaining to marketing. We've never done that before. We've had it pertaining to leadership and retaining your staff and, just being successful in general with a leadership and management standpoint. But nobody's opened the door to talk about that when it pertains to actually growing your practice and being authentic in the marketing space. So I appreciate that we could just have a really, heart to heart kind of conversation about that today. It's a big deal. Whether it's a dentist or even, there are other people in the office that are that way. If you have somebody sitting at your front desk, if you were to come in and help an office with all of their marketing needs, but the person at the front desk is burned out and stressed out and being rude, not because they mean to, just because their social battery is drained. It doesn't matter how much time you spend with them. They're probably not going to be as successful in their practice as a team who's truly happy and thriving, And well, that's where wisdom can come in and take a lot of the administrative stress off the front desk so they're not grumpy all the time and handle the dental billing. But back to
You
you
guys
and
are
marketing.
amazing, though. No, but
Oh,
just a
thank
quick
you.
plug. Like, yeah, you and Ashley are just my heroes. I love what you're doing at Wisdom, and I completely, would encourage anyone and everyone to be part of what you guys are doing.
Well, thank you so much. And, likewise to you, you are, as shown today, a thought leader. We all have to break out of these patterns of we do it this way because we always have. And I don't just mean in the office, I mean in dentistry in general, whether it's marketing and what you're talking about, product, online, what you said today can be applied to anything in practice growth, anything. Whether it's a toothbrush or a fly, it just doesn't matter. It's pretty universal. So that insight was actually really compelling.
So,
Thank
Stephanie,
you.
I do have one gift that I'd like to give the listeners.
You got it.
And it's not a physical gift. So if people are listening right now, the one gift I'd love to give to everybody is the gift of permission to truly almost like to follow your heart, to be the dentist or to be the office manager that really is within you to be. Everyone starts off by modeling. It's just what we do. You know, we model our parents when we're growing up. We model the people that we look up to, our heroes. We go into school. And part of the type of a person that makes a great dentist is someone that can figure out what the rules are and play by those rules, because it reduces liability. It's following best practices. It's really great for clinical dentistry. But then there's part of that that can be like, oh, I kind of feel trapped because I'm going through the motions and I'm doing what a dentist is supposed to do, but for some reason I don't feel alive inside, or I feel like I'm trending toward burnout. And that's because we have to then take the next step and actually have the courage to be like, who am I in this place in dentistry? And if I give myself complete permission to express who I am, my giftings, my perspectives, my personality, my hopes and dreams, what would that actually look like? What am I upset about because I feel like, well, I can't because I'm a dentist? Why? I'm not talking about ethically, not transgressing ethical bounds or things that are going to hurt the patient or your team. But inside this freedom of dentistry in this world, I just want to challenge everybody to just have that permission to imagine and reimagine what dentistry could be like that could actually be fulfilling, not just successful, but also fulfilling.
I love that. I love that. And with what you've shared today, just in this 20 minutes, just because you enjoy doing it and want to help, I can only imagine what your clients get from you when they sign up. So if we have listeners out there that want your help, how do they get a hold of you?
You can go to ShawnZayas.com, ShawnZajas.com, or reach out to me on Facebook is probably where I'm the most active, or people can just email me directly at Shawn@myzana.com.
Perfect. And we'll make sure that's in our show notes and anywhere we have this material as well. So if you're not just listening or you want to go back to the platform, just click a link and you can get a hold of Sean. You can always get a hold of us at Wisdom as well at info@withwisdom.com. We're always here to help. Even if you're like, hey, I don't want to click the link, connect me to Sean, we're happy to do that. We're happy to help you figure out where you need to go, what you can do in any way to be successful in your practice, whether it's revenue, marketing, just advice, a shoulder to lean on. We've got you. And Sean's of the same mindset. So, Sean, thank you for joining us today.
Stephanie, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much. I love what you guys are doing with this podcast.
Thank
You guys are
you.
just great at it. So thank you.
And the same to yours. That's another note, everybody. Sean also has a podcast. So we'll link that up. Make sure you check that out too. Sean, what's your podcast called?
The Shawn Zayas Show.
That's right, The Sean Zaya Show. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us on today's journey through a new era of dentistry with your host, Ashley Bond. With wisdom in their network of industry leaders, each episode offers fresh insights and support in the evolving world of dentistry. Subscribe, stay tuned, and transform your career, practice, and patient experience. Until next time, keep innovating, keep caring, and stay smiling.